Everybody, we are here today with Buddy Brown, and you've got a couple amazing songs. They're on my playlist when I'm out walking. They're great walking songs, high energy. Tell me a little bit about what prompted you to start posting stuff on YouTube and what your history was with music and entertainment prior to all this exploding. And then we can kind of talk about where you're at now and what's going on.
Yeah, in 2009, I posted my first video, and I didn't, it was a cover of a song. I couldn't even tell you what it was. I think it was a Easton Corbin song, a little more country than that. And I wasn't familiar with the process of YouTube accounts or anything like that. So I posted the song, and I didn't open it back up for about 3 or 4 months, and it had hundreds of thousands of views. And I was thinking, what the heck? Like, the view count's messed up or something, because this evidently had gone viral and just really just spread. And so I did another 20 videos real fast and just really built on it and started writing. And just like any process, you learn so much, and you find out who your fans are, and kind of find out who you are along the way. And I've developed a really niche songwriting style over 7 years now.
Yeah.
That is kind of just what I hang on to.
Now, had you been performing before that, or were you just one of those people that sang because you enjoyed singing in the car and at home?
I sang since I was 3. I mean, music is such a huge part of my life.
So church and school events, things like that, but never anything really in your mind about becoming an entertainer. You just did it because you loved it.
Right, yeah. Well, I did a lot of stuff with Christian music. I even lived in Australia in 2003 as a music minister down there in Melbourne, Australia. And so music has always been a part of my life, but country music seemed to just flow out a lot easier than anything else. Being from the deep south in Mississippi and having a mom who was a Randy Travis, Charlie Daniels fan, that's what comes out when I sing. So.
Yep, I can hear that. Well, when you write, do you write by yourself, or do you prefer to co-write?
Co-writing is probably something that's going to come up in the future with the publishing stuff that I'm entering into now. But up until now, I've written 100% of every song, every word and everything. But that has a lot to do with building it the way I have, grassroots, with my fans. They don't really want there to be a middleman, because this isn't like, hey, we're pitching it, nationwide on the radio, where they expect you to have 3, 4, 5 co-writers on it. This is just, we found this particular music that is kind of underground, and it better come from the source, otherwise I think it's not as authentic.
Not as legit.
At this, when you're pitching it from the format I am, it's a different animal.
Well, now you've kind of, you've evolved into the next step where you've got a team behind you to help you. Kind of where are you headed from here? I know you've got a new 5-song EP coming out. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. The one Hurricane Stomp that came out in February was just kind of the initial one. The plan is to finish that this year. So I was just so excited as an independent project to have this hit number 16 U.S., number 8 in Canada. It's my first top 10 ever in the country. And just see if we can build on that all through the year. Never let off the accelerator, and finish this with 5 songs that might be even more powerful.
Yeah.
Hang up there for longer.
That's right. Well, you were lucky, and you got to be on a tour this summer, this past few months. And what was your learning experience and stuff with that? Because there were some pretty big names on the tour with you. So what did you learn from that, and maybe what surprised you when you got out there that you weren't expecting?
Yeah. Well, we were out with Justin Moore, John Party, and Brothers Osborne, doing a college town throwdown tour. So we would go to lots of colleges like Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida State, Arkansas, South Carolina. It was just really, really cool to kind of raise your game a little bit. I'm pulling in with a van and a trailer, with just all of our gear, and Justin Moore has 2
buses,
$1 million buses and 5 semis parked, all 7 of them right there, and you just figure out real fast that this whole thing can go a long, long way.
Yeah.
And besides all the hype and the stuff that I don't have, fog machines and laser lights and all that stuff, it's all essentially the same thing. Is what he's doing is a very, very well-crafted, well-studied, well-rehearsed
Mm-hmm.
performance of what works over the past 10 years for him. And that's something I have really, really learned from. It's just take the things that work live.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm never afraid to try stuff. Sometimes they fall flat, but that's fine. You just don't do it a second time.
That's exactly right.
Sometimes by accident you don't plan it, or
Mhm.
something just happens, or you say something, and there's just such a response from the crowd, and that just becomes a thing.
Sure, you feed off of that and realize that
Yeah.
that's what they like. And
We've just been so pro-American and pro-support our troops, based with the military, and that just came out of the heart, from a couple concerts and stuff would get said, or I would run out on stage with an American flag, and now that's kind of become
part of it.
something that just
Sure.
become part of it, and
Sure.
so definitely learned so much from these guys.
Well, one thing I always ask, especially independent artists and new and up-and-coming artists, is with social media being such a huge part of our lives now, and everybody's competing to get fans and to get likes and to get their music and everything out to people, you're constantly having to think out of the box and what's next and what can I do to make my stuff different. Where do you get your inspiration to do that, and what are you maybe doing right now to try and get more views? I mean, since your first one was a shocker the way it happened,
Yeah.
are you constantly thinking of stuff?
I think for me, I personally, I don't watch a lot of TV or movies or anything like that. I read like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my best writing is when I'm deep into. I'll read books from the old Southern literature from the 1800s.
Wow.
William Faulkner, a lot of Mark Twain, a lot of writing styles that aren't present today.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't spend a whole lot of time mentally in present day. And I think to be different, you're gonna have to kind of live your life that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, with the stuff I write, it is, it just comes from a desire to have a specialty store somewhere in town where that's the only store that carries that type of thing you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're going to call yourself independent, I think it needs to be a lot more than just I'm not with a major label. There's more that you need to say with that.
Mm-hmm.
The music should sound independent and free of the boundaries of a very clean-cut country radio single that's too safe
Mm-hmm.
and exactly 3 minutes long, and the chorus happens at exactly this point. I really, really have made a small career so far on kind of coloring outside the lines.
Yep. Yep.
And the songs that are the highest selling songs that I've done are the ones that take those risks and may not be politically correct or
Right.
just too perfect and non-offending, but it's basically just this is who I am,
Right.
and there it is. Everybody's quick to apologize for ever stepping out of bounds, and
Yeah.
I made a living on it. So.
There you go. Now, I know you said that you're starting to work on some collaborations and do some stuff where you're going to be doing some writing with people. Is there any particular songwriter that you're really hoping that you do get to write with, that you admire the way that they write?
I don't know if I could name a specific songwriter, but anybody that explores stories. Like I said earlier about Charlie Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on that kind of stuff, and John Anderson. Stories are just everything in country music. If that goes away, I think we've lost a lot of substance. And so I'm looking for a songwriter who doesn't want to be safe. Someone who, when I start out, I go a little bit over the lines and say that's too much. But I have to do that to be able to pull back and get,
Right.
Back where I need to be. So I think like-mindedness would be the most important thing.
Okay. What about everybody has that pinnacle that they dream of? Is yours winning an award? Is it playing the Opry? Is it, what's the one thing you've kind of dreamed of since this thing took off?
I think at a certain point, you, with the fans that I have and the message I'm trying to send, my biggest goal would be to release an album and just have it go #1 on iTunes and Billboard and do the whole thing without a label,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
to say what we're doing has won the day.
Yep.
What we're doing is send a message and it's worked.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, and I don't ever mean to say we did all that stuff by ourselves, because you can see, I mean, how many people it takes.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
takes so many fans. It takes a great PR team. It takes a great booking agency behind you. And I've got all those, had all those, but just to take that kind of idea that no one's thought about and have success with it, which we already have, but obviously
Yeah,
to go to the top with it.
to go even further with it. Now, when you think of your songwriting ideas and things that you write about, have you gotten any stories from fans as you know, as you're out performing? Has there been any ideas that as they're talking to you, you're like, oh, there's a good storyline, and kind of held on to that for a little while?
Yeah, I was in Arkansas, and we just, there's so many one-liners. I mean, it's a very, even though it's not South, it's kind of a deep South mentality up there. And I was in the Delta, and certainly just hanging around a lot of these people. I wouldn't say there's like a line that gave me a song, but when I'm around small groups of people, sometimes we'll play after show. It's bouncing ideas off of them and seeing the reactions. You know, if you just say, hey, I've got a song, and sometimes they just kind of nod their head, yeah, that's cool. Or then you say, well, how about this one? And it's, you know, it's a risk.
You can see it when
but they're all just on every single word. That's the moment where you know. That's,
like,
that's
okay, I'm onto
special.
something with this one. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share with the fans, or you know, maybe any encouraging words or anything that you want to get out there that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure and say?
No, I would just say to aspiring artists that, you know, the only way you could ever get defeated is if you quit. And if you stop, and if you slow down, and no one's going to kick the door down for you, you got to kick it down yourself. So I wish somebody would have told me that a long time ago. You know? But it's been such a joy to see it do what it's done now at this point. Get to watch it come from nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of good ideas coming, and you've got a great team behind you, and you know, you're definitely on your way. So we look to hear a lot more stuff from you, that's for sure. So we'll make sure and get your website and your iTunes and all the YouTube, everything out there for everybody. And we're looking forward to seeing you again.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.